Well, good evening, this is Handlog Steve coming to you on the 12th of March. And okay, so we're going to do a little political stuff this evening that I see in the news. And so, of course, I have to preface this by saying that my own personal political views are that I'm a political atheist. And that means that I don't support any particular party because what I find and what I'm actually very frustrated with is that it seems every political party has some good points about it, but they're always dragging a whole bunch of baggage with them. And so anyway, what I'm looking for really is good governance. Okay, if you have good governance, then it really doesn't matter who gets elected, because by and large, you know, there's only about 7 or 8 degrees of separation, or there should be, between those parties, because most of our needs are pretty common, and the government's jurisdiction should only be as far as it needs to be. Personally, if I was going to go for a system, it would be agorism, okay, which comes from the Greek marketplace, which is basically an open market / government for the people, by the people, of the people. You know, we have gotten so far away from the public having anything to say in the real matters that are taking place in this world today. It's just that they're just long gone. So anyways, I leave myself open to criticize all of these political parties or praise all of them. But I find that by being the way I am, I can choose a little bit of what the Conservatives say, and a little bit of what the Liberals say, and a little bit of what the NDP say, and patch together what I think would be a good government. And this election, actually, I'm hoping for a coalition. I think the public are much better served when we have a coalition government, and all parties have to agree with each other and seek a mandate from the public. You'd be surprised how much the attention suddenly turns round to, oh, we've got to consult the public. We've got to consult the public. So anyway, that said, please don't think that when I am talking about a political party or another that I am fully in support or fully against. I just try not to get emotionally engaged. I'm seeing a lot of that taking place these days, and I think that emotion clouds good judgment and objective analysis of the situation. Okay, so let me lead you into the first story, and yes, it's his party. Doug Ford is now the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party in Ontario. That leadership campaign and race ended this weekend, and Christine Elliott, who was one of his competitors, actually his main competitor, as it turns out, was going to go for a vote recount and was contesting the vote because there was only about 185 odd votes separating the two of them at the end of the day. And but both Doug and Christine they are hardcore conservative. Okay, so people voting in equal numbers for those two candidates is very telling. Okay, and this is where the analysis comes in, because I think that what that's telling us is that there are a lot more people who are dissatisfied with the situation in Ontario than might at first have been thought. Because all the candidates that voted for Doug Ford and Christine Elliott are of course listening to their electorate. And the word on the ground is that we are prime for another populist revolution in the backlash against the way the left has gone. I think we're all realizing that this has just been a horrible experiment that is going terribly wrong, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples why it's going terribly wrong and where it's going to be leading to in the long run. Anyway, Doug Ford won a hard-fought campaign. He, of course, is brother to Rob Ford, who was mayor of Toronto and was mired in all kinds of problems with drugs and so on and so forth. So there is a little bit of baggage there. However, the Conservative Party still have 44% of the popular vote, and if an election were held today, and the Liberals are running dead last with about 22% of the vote. Even the NDP, the New Democratic Party, are ahead of the Liberals. So I think there's been a complete disenchantment with the Liberals. It has just been corrupt story after corrupt story, misstep after misstep. It's just been, wow, it's just been a long time of scandalous corruption taking place within the government, right under the noses of the public. And now all of a sudden we've got these giveaways from the Liberal government as we're going into an election in June this year. And so we have hydro reductions and that kind of thing. So there is a low-income project going on, and there is a Medicare for Youth program going on. So there are lots of giveaways going into this election on behalf of the Liberal Party, and I'm sure that there will be more announcements forthcoming as soon as this gets underway. Anyway, so what we are going to see, the public spectator, is a race to beat all. I think you're going to see this is going to be a gloves off, get down, get dirty race. I think it may even mirror the American election. And so it's hard to say what the outcome might be. This might be the situation, where you do get that minority government. And a minority government, as I said, is the best place for the public to be. And of course, a minority government is like having a buffer against knee-jerk reactions. Okay, we are living in a very volatile world. Okay, things are happening very quickly, and yet they're disappearing very quickly. Okay, I'm sure you're noticing, as I am, that there is a very short news cycle, and once things have come and gone, they're forgotten about. So things have to be continually put into the news cycle. So anyway, I think it's going to be very entertaining. I am asking you to hold your candidates' feet to the fire. Start coming at them with some of these bigger issues, like the sale of hydro without a referendum, for example. Why are we the province with the largest non-sovereign debt? $300 billion Ontario is in debt to mostly foreign investors. Okay, when you're that much in debt, with only 10 million people to pay that off, you are beholden to your debt holders, to your lien holders. Okay, so there's some really big issues out there that need to be solved, and we need to have an open discussion, and that discussion needs to include the public. Okay, we don't need a knee-jerk reaction. We don't need someone flying off at the handle and doing something absolutely stupid, and then it just disappears, and it wasn't the problem that we thought it was. And any of you who are worried about a carbon tax, remember that carbon tax was going to pay for government promises. It wasn't going to reduce carbon. So when they say they're going to get rid of the carbon tax, please do not get too worried about there'll be a sudden increase in carbon, because that carbon tax wasn't going to affect the production of carbon at all. And Caroline Mulroney stated in a speech that that's what that money was going to be used for. So you can see how important carbon really is in the whole scheme of things. Okay, next story. Now this I find is kind of interesting. Jews unwelcome on the feminist left. And you will see three women in that picture there, and those women are Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour and Carmen Perez. Now these women are at the absolute forefront of feminism. However, there is definitely some very, very, very contradictory points of view taking place, because of course these women are all talking about inclusivity and feminism and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so these feminist activists have refused to condemn Louis Farrakhan's anti-Semitism, Emma Teetle writes. Now, Emma herself is a white feminist, a white Jewish feminist. Okay, and I'm going to read this to you because it's worth reading. Honestly, what calamities aren't Jews responsible for? I'm not about to argue that my people are the most maligned in history, but it's safe to say that we are the most creatively maligned. Not only are we allegedly responsible for the death of Christ, the Black Plague and 9/11, we are also believed to have found time in our extremely busy evil-doing schedules to fake the moon landing, kill Kennedy, train a dolphin to spy on Hamas, and according to the Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, control agencies of government like the FBI. Farrakhan isn't just the leader of a recognized hate group, he's obsessed with Jewish conspiracy theory. In fact, I could fill an entire column with the hateful, inane things Farrakhan has said about my people, but I'll settle on just one. The following is a statement from a rambling anti-government, anti-Semitic speech he gave at his group's annual Saviour's Day address late last month. White folks are going down, and Satan is going down, and Farrakhan, by God's grace, has pulled the cover off the satanic Jew, and I'm here to say your time is up, your world is through. The Nation of Islam leader had a lot of unkind things to say about LGBTQ people too, namely that we have a psychological chemical imbalance, but Jews appear to be his primary target. In his mind, we are responsible for all of this filth and degenerate behaviour that Hollywood is putting out, turning men into women and women into men. As a double degenerate in his books, being a gay Jew, all of the above makes me angry. But I'm less angry with Farrakhan, whose anti-Semitism is predictable. I'm far angrier the week of International Women's Day with a less predictable foe. I'm angry with the leaders of the American Women's March, women who preach intersectional feminism, but who refuse to condemn the man quoted above. Worse, who embrace him. I'm referring to leading feminist activists Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour and Carmen Perez. Mallory is a longtime friend of the Nation of Islam and a high-profile African-American activist, attended the February event where Farrakhan gave the above-mentioned speech. He even gave Mallory a shout-out. Mallory posted a photo of the event to Instagram. In a previous post on the site, she refers to Farrakhan as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. When criticised this week about her long-time fondness for the anti-Semite, she refused to denounce him. Instead, she penned a column full of platitudes defending her attendance at the event. She writes on News One, "Where my people are is where I must also be." Translation: if my people attend virulent anti-Semitic speeches, I too must attend virulently anti-Semitic speeches. Mallory tweeted her commitment to ending all forms of prejudice, but refused to call out and condemn Farrakhan specifically. Meanwhile, other leaders of the Women's March, some of whom have personal ties to Farrakhan, have bent over backwards to defend Mallory. Here is Sarsour on her official Facebook page taking Mallory's critics to task. "I don't think these people have our best interests at heart, to make us better people or to disrupt misconceptions or anti-Semitism, because trashing a strong black woman and holding her accountable for the words of a man is not the way to bring people together. When will we break the cycle and actually build a transformative movement that protects all of us, even when we don't agree on some issues? A transformative movement that protects all of us." Sorry, I digress. In the sense that this is the left-wing equivalent of Donald Trump condemning anti-Semitism whilst winking at anti-Semites. It's infuriating because Mallory and Sarsour are activists who would argue in any other circumstances that intersectionality demands the condemnation of all forms of bigotry and that big tent feminism does not tolerate intolerance. And this is the problem. This is what I've been talking about. This is what others are going to be have been talking about. This is just so unproductive. All of a sudden, everyone is fighting with each other, everyone has a different complaint, no one can get along together. The feminists hate the Jews hate the feminists, Black Lives Matter hate gay pride hate Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter hate the police, and vice versa. I mean, where is it going to end? And it doesn't end. That's the problem. And that's what people who are of moderate beliefs are calling for, is that we realize that this is just unproductive, and it's also hypocritical. To say that you're standing up for all people's rights except a few others is just absolutely hypocritical. What's that I was talking about before? Fighting for peace is like fornicating for virginity. Okay, and here is another example. Free speech, colorblind. This is Liberal MP Selina Caesar-Chavans and Maxime Bernier, who is a Conservative minister. Okay, and it all started off over the budget, and a comment by Minister Ahmed Hussein said he celebrated the budget as a historic budget for racialized Canadians. Maxime Bernier responded on Twitter, "I thought the ultimate goal of fighting discrimination was to create a colourblind society where everyone is treated the same," wrote Bernier, "not to set some Canadians as being racialised. What's the purpose of this awful jargon? To create more division for Liberals to exploit?" And of course, what we're looking at here is two very privileged people. Okay, these two people have absolutely nothing to complain about. Okay, they're both pulling down $163,000 a year to do this job. Okay, so the Liberal MP said, "Do some research or a Google search as to why stating colour blindness as a defence actually contributes to racism. Please check your privilege and be quiet." Wait a minute. Being colourblind is racist? It increases racism? I thought that's what everyone wanted, was an equal platform for everybody to operate on, so that everyone's treated fairly and equally, and that we don't pay attention to what colour a person is, or what background they are, what ethnic origin, what culture, what religion. Everyone is just treated equally. It's called being colourblind. So you're now saying that colour blindness is racist. Okay, gotcha. Anyway, she goes on to say, she then links a column on race issues from The Guardian, a UK publication, routinely mocked by critics for its divisive far-left editorials. Bernier didn't take kindly to being told to pipe down, responding on Twitter to say, "You are aware we live in a democracy with free speech as one of its building blocks, right?" Clearly feeling the heat online, Caesar-Chavans offered something of an apology, posting early Tuesday morning, I'm not too big to admit when I am wrong. Limiting discussions on this issue by telling you to be quiet was not cool." Oh well, hopefully not just you, but an awful lot of other people got it. That if we're going to have an equal society, an egalitarian society, equality has to mean exactly that, equality. No, frankly, the thing that upsets me about all of these people is that all of them are really not in a position to complain. They're all doing very well out of their positions or activism. And these people are the ones who are spurring it in society. These are the ones who get mentioned in the newspaper. These are the opinions that people read. These are the arguments that people read, and you can be certain that some people will take this woman's side and some people will take the man's side for different reasons, and it just keeps the pot boiling. And as long as the pot is boiling, of course, we are not paying attention to what's going on around us, and so we get hoodwinked into not noticing the real issues that are happening, the TTP deals that are being signed, and that kind of stuff, the CETA deals. Okay, the NAFTA deals, the negotiations around that. I mean, those are things that are going to affect our day-to-day lives very, very much, and we don't get to hear about those. Can any one of you out there tell me the details of the TPP or the NAFTA negotiations? Why are they having negotiations and just telling us the results of what happened? Why weren't we a party? Why weren't those things made public so we can read our position? You know, oh yeah, you can probably scratch around and dig and research and this kind of stuff, but we are entering, or we've been in the NAFTA talks for quite some time now. Prior to that taking place, there should have been a package put together for the public to read that said, in layman's terms, so it's quite readable, these are the things that are going to be on the agenda, this is our position, this is what we hope to get, blah de blah de blah. So that we can all take a look. I mean, maybe you don't have to give all of the details, but just give us a situation where we stand right now. Let's know what it is right now, so we understand that when we see on the news or in the newspaper or on the internet, you know, some of the things that have taken place in these negotiations, we at least understand what they're talking about. It's this whole aspect of paying lip service to the public and transparency of government activity. You know, the public are the beneficiaries in this situation. We are the shareholders, and we are the financiers of all things that take place in this country, and the very least we should be demanding from our government is transparency on all of these deals. And why isn't the public informed, and why do they have to go to extreme lengths to find out what it is that's taking place in these negotiations? Okay, so I wanted to talk about Doug Ford, of course, but I also want to bring you some idea of where all of this free speech, colour blindness, activism is taking us, and it's really down a very unproductive road. We can spend all day arguing about whose fault it was that something happened, but that's not a solution. And what we need at this present point in time are solutions. So anyway, that's my news for this evening. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like and subscribe below, and click on that little bell so you get all of the notifications that come through of new videos. And I hope you have a really great week. So you take care, and we'll talk to you very soon. See you now.